Let's start the presentation. So we are going to start with a little history of the connector, so you can know more about this big project. Then we are going to do a little comparison between the 6.1 version and the 7.0 version. After, I'm going to present you the process of synchronization. I am going to then to a live demonstration, and to finish, we're going to have a time for questions. So a quick history of the project. In 2008, in June, Raphael Valli was working at Smile, it's a French company. He started a first prototype of connection between Magento and OpenERP. It was already a prototype. It was only 2 weeks of work. And then Raphael in 2009 quit Smile in order to create Akretion in Brazil. He was really interested by this project of connection between Magento and OpenERP. With OpenERP, they decided to start a new project, which we'll call Magento ERP Connect. The idea was to create a connector with generic ports for the future for other connectors like PrestaShop or other e-commerce solutions. In 2010, we start to have our first customer and our first contribution from Zigzag Media and Camp2Camp. Then in 2011, Camp2Camp and Zigzag Media entered the group of Magento ERP Connect co-editor, which is the main maintainer of the project. And last year, in February, with Camp2Camp, we started a new project, which was called PrestaShop ERP Connect. And then it was to connect PrestaShop to OpenERP. So with all of our experience from the connector with Magento, we start a new project for PrestaShop. It was really interesting because it was the first time that we can try all of the generic parts of the connector with a new connector, with a new case. Then in May, we launched two POC, to prototype a proof of concept for Amazon ERP Connect and eBay ERP Connect. And then with all of this work on PrestaShop ERP Connect, Amazon ERP Connect, eBay ERP Connect, we start to think of all of the work what we have done. In November, Camp2Camp start to say that the actual, the 6.1 version architecture was maybe too complicated if we want to use it with a lot of different connectors. So we start to rethink the connector. We decide with Camp2Camp to organize a share funding in January in order to raise money to redesign, to rewrite all of the abstract parts of the connector. And in March, with Camp2Camp, we did a code sprint during one week. During this code sprint, we work on the new connector, only on the Magento ERP Connect part, because Camp2Camp have worked before on the abstract module. So this is a quick story of the connector. So first of all, I'm going to make some comparisons. So this was the architecture of the 6.1 version. So the idea that here you have some generic parts of the connector, and the two main modules was base multi-channel and base external referential. The idea of this two abstract module was this module, external referential, was a module to connect with external systems. And base multi-channel was here to adapt an external system when it's an e-commerce solution. So it adds some special feature like catalog synchronization, import of orders. So it adds some abstraction in order to don't reinvent the wheel in each connector. So the architecture was not really bad, but because there is a lot of generic parts. But I'm going to show you that it was some piece of code was too complicated, so it was not as perfect as we want. So in 6.1 version, the synchronization was a batch. So for example, if I want to synchronize my product, there is a current task that runs, for example, every half hour. And every half hour, the current task is going to look at all of the products that have been updated during the last half an hour, during the last 30 minutes. So the code was kind of complex because you have to search in the database for all of the products that have been modified. Also, each time you have the synchronization, you're going to push a lot of products. So you have a peak of load on your Magento server. Also, as it's not real time, the customer, the user, has to wait some minutes before having this change on Magento. So this was something that we don't like a lot. It was complicated and not very efficient. Also, another point that was really complicated was the CSV mapping. First of all, what is a mapping? A mapping is just a piece of code that is going to say that this field in Magento is linked to this field in OpenERP. This was managed with CSV file, something that you can open with Excel or LibreOffice or what you want. But it was, and also it was, you have the possibility to edit it with OpenERP, with the web client. But it was really complex to debug, to maintain, and a lot of partners tell us that it was hard to go in production with this connector because when you have a bug, you have too much code, it's complicated to understand, and with this mapping, it's hard to understand. So we start to think differently and say maybe we can drop all of this and find another solution. Also for the catalog management, you have only one possibility. It was OpenERP that sent the product to Magento, but you didn't have the possibility to manage your catalog in Magento and then import your product in OpenERP. Also, the project starts to be old. You know, we started in 2009, so now the project is 3 years old, and you have a lot of piece of code that we want to remove and replace with new modules that we have done later. So for the version 7, we had to clean this module. And also, when we start this project, there is no unit test. Unit test is something really important because you can test automatically your module without spending time of testing manually. So it's really important piece, really important stuff. It was really hard to use unit test with your 6.1 version. Also, the connector didn't respect the paper 8 guideline. This is for making the code more beautiful. And to conclude, this module, this version was too complex for multi-commerce. So we really decided to think it differently and make it simple. So this is the new architecture for the 7th version. Basically, we decided to split the Magento ERP Connect module in order to give the possibility to have two ways to make it to work. You can manage the catalog in OpenERP and then push the product in Magento. Or if you want a really simple way to synchronize it, you can manage your catalog in Magento and then import in OpenERP. So I'm going to show you this after what you can do. But just to show you, so that there's a very simple module that is called Magento Connect. We have more generic piece of code now with new version. We replace the PSM channel with e-commerce connector and by the standard referential with connector. These two modules have been totally rewritten. And also I'm going to come back on this picture later at the end maybe. But the idea is that we have a module, we have more simple module here instead of a big one. So what is new? What is the big change with this 7th version? Now, when we synchronize something with OpenERP and Magento, we implement an event synchronization. So if I change in OpenERP the status of a sale order, automatically OpenERP is going to create a job, and this job is going to synchronize the status of the sale order in Magento. So the synchronization is now really easy. You modify something in OpenERP, then there is an event, and the event creates a job. You can see the job, and you can see if the job has been done, or if he has been failed. And if it has been failed, you can retry it. So it's really simple. It's always the same thing. You modify something, you have an event, and then you have a job. Also, this is more for developer, but we changed the mapping, so now it's Python mapping. So it's only Python classes. So this is more for developer, but really it's really easy now to maintain, to debug, to customize. So if you're a partner, if you're an integrator of OpenERP, you're going to do a project with this connector, you can easily customize everything you want for your customer without losing a lot of time. This is really a big point, because when you have a customer that sells something in Magento, all of the time you have customization. So you have to customize your OpenERP. And if you have something not flexible, then you cannot have a good integration. And also, the mapping between the various versions of Magento is shared between different versions. For example, you have a mapping version for 1.5 of Magento. Maybe we will have different mapping versions for Magento 2.0. So we can share some tips of mapping, but this is more for developer. So I'm going to explain more about the synchronization. So now with the 7th version, we have two modes. Simple mode is your project is managed in Magento, and then you import it in OpenERP. The order is created in Magento, and you import it in OpenERP. And all of the delivery status, the invoice, order status is pushed from OpenERP to Magento. And there is an extension, which is Magento Connect Catalog, that gives you the possibility to edit the product in your OpenERP and then to push it in Magento. So I'm just going to explain you the process for the sale order. So what is the process for the sale order? The first step is your customer is going to buy something in your e-commerce shop. can be Magento, PrestaShop, later Drupal Commerce, or Amazon, eBay, or what you want. So customer buy on your eShop commerce. Then you have two possibilities. The order has been paid by the customer, or it has not been paid. So the idea is for each payment method, we can have a different workflow. So for example, if you have a check payment, so the customer didn't send you the money, we are going to import the sell order, but the sell order will be not validated. And you have to validate it manually. If the sell order has been paid with cards, then in Magento you have a sell order, but the sell order is paid. So we are going to import it, but the sell order will be automatically validated, and so you don't have to take care about the sell order. You just have somebody that take care about the delivery, and you just go on OpenERP, just connect on the warehouse management, and it says a list of picking to send. So you don't have a waste of time of validating the order paid and the order not paid. So it's easy. Then when you validate the picking, you have an automatic invoicing. So normally in OpenERP you have to validate manually the invoice, and it's a waste of time. So now you just validate the picking, and then the order is created, the invoice is created, the invoice is validated, and then we push the invoice in Magento, and it's the same for the picking. We push the picking with the tracking number in Magento. So here is the process for managing the order. We can also send an email for the invoice and also for the picking. So we can also send by email the tracking number and every information we want to send. So now I'm going to show you. I'm going to do a demonstration of the connector. For this demonstration, I'm going to use OpenERP 7 and Magento 1.7. So it's the last version of Magento. So I'm going. Okay. So when you install the module, you have a new menu which is called Connector. In Connector, you have one. As I install Magento, I have the Magento connector. So here I can see I have already configured my Magento backend. But on my Magento backend, I have the URL of my Magento. I have the version of my Magento. I have the login and the password for the web service. Then I already have synchronized the metadata. So the website of my Magento has been already imported. The store of my Magento has been already imported too, and the store view too. So the first thing important is that with this connector, you can connect OpenERP with as you want. You can connect the OpenERP with many Magento backend. So if you have, I don't know, 10 Magento, then you have no problem. You can create 10 backend here, and then you can start the synchronization. So this connector is really multi-instance of Magento. So now on the backend, I have some buttons. So I can, for example, I can import the customer group, I can import the partner, I can import the category, the product category, the product, the sale order. I can update the stock quantity. for the demonstration, I'm going to show you by pressing the button, but in production, you have one task that do it all of the time if you need. So I'm going to create a server in. I'm going to create a server in Magento, and then I'm going to import it in OpenERP. So I'm going to duplicate a server to be faster. So here is my server. I'm going to pay this first server with check. Okay. So I'm going to validate it. So here is the number of my server. So I'm going here in Magento backend, and I am going to import all the server from all the store view. When I run this, I can go in the job. You have a very special menu here. It's the queue management. So in the job, I can see that the job creates various batch imports. So as you can see, I have 4 store views here. So when I click on the button, it has created 4 jobs. These 4 jobs are going to ask Magento for each store view all of the server linked to this store view. So we have to wait a little. So there is a first job that I've called for all of the server linked to the store view, the English store view, and when it called for having all of the server, it gets 1 server, and this is all server at with 6. Directly, it creates a new job, and this job was to import this server. So we are going to wait a little. And the worker that is here on my installation, I have configured to have 2 workers, but we can have more worker. Worker is used in order to use the different processors of your computer. Refresh again. So now my job is done. If I go in my server, I will see the server I have created in Magento. So this was a server that I've created with I've paid with check. So now I'm going to show you a server paid with card, with credit card. So I'm going to withdraw it. I'm going to change the quantity of product to be not the same amount. is a fake credit card. This is not mine. You cannot buy it with it. I'm creating a new server. So this server has been paid with credit cards, but you can see that it's not paid. So if I start to, if I run the import of sale order, normally the connector should not import the sale order because we are in the case that this is a credit card, but for an unknown reason, maybe the customer has been redirected to the bank to pay and he didn't have paid the order. So in this case, we are going to, so as before, we have 4 jobs, which is 1 job per store view in order to ask all of the order for the store view. And then, wait, return. So now I have my job for importing my last sale order. Going to wait. The jobs are processed every minute. So depending of when we create the job, we have to wait more. Okay, so the job has been processed a first time, but here there is the result. It tells us that the order has been not paid, and so the import will be retried later. So the idea is, if a customer going to Magento create a sale order, then validate it, and is redirected to the bank, and I don't know, during the bank process he had a problem. The sale order is not paid on Magento, so it's not going to be imported in OpenERP. So you don't have the risk to send products that have been not paid. And now if I go back in Magento, and manually I will pay it. You should know in Magento that paying and invoicing is the same thing. It's weird, but it's like that. So now my order is paid. So if I go back here, I'm just going to change the next execution, so you have to wait less. So now this job will be processed again, and as the order has been paid in Magento, the order will be imported.